Let's go ahead and jump right in. So what I love about season 2 is you guys hit the ground running. Like the Locke family's together. We know about the Keys. We see the villains. We see Dodge. We see Eden. All that good stuff. How is it kind of taking what had informed season 1 and just building on that foundation going into season 2?
I mean, I think it's exactly what you said. We really felt that we had to keep, hit the ground running, and everything is just so much more heightened this season. Our family drama, our romances, our villains, our stakes. I think because of where we end season 1, that's really what we felt we needed for season 2, was to really build upon that. And so I think that means that it's a just richer, kind of darker, more mature season.
With that in mind, I mean, the first time we see the Locke family, they've all, like, the magic keys have become like daily life. They've fully integrated to that. They're the happiest I think we've ever seen them before all hell breaks loose. What was it important about showing how cohesive the family had grown versus season 1, where they were, grief stricken and at odds?
I think really you kind of, put your finger on it. The first season dealt a lot more with the sort of the grief and the transition from, the death of their father to their new lives in Matheson. Season 2, we really wanted to explore what kind of were the obligations that come with having these keys and being the new keepers of these keys. And so we felt like we told the grief story, and now we wanted to tell a different story. And this story was really about, the cost and consequences of being the new keepers of the keys.
Mm-hmm. One of the things in comparison to the comics can be, and I love the comic book, so let me stress that, but the comics, this is a warmer show than the comic books. This is a more inviting, welcoming show than the comic books. You still have the horror elements. You still have certainly the more raw emotional elements. But what was it about making Locke and Key more accessible and more kind of like approachable with the tone to this adaptation?
Yeah, we both are huge fans of the comics, but in talking about what kind of series we wanted to make, we wanted it to be warmer, as you're saying, and just open it up to a broader audience so that more people could enjoy it, and still keep very much the things in the comics that I think are integral to it and to the story and to those characters, but kind of telling them in a way that does open it up to more audiences, and adding a little bit, the romance, and adding a little bit more of that YA element to it, just to be able to just open it up. But again, still keeping, Joe Hill and Gabriel Rodriguez very much, in the fold and in the family, and they're still, involved in the show and very much part of, they're giving their blessing on the show, but also kind of letting it be its own thing.
And to that point, I mean, yeah, you don't shy away from the darkness. We see, before we check back in with the Locke kids, we see our villains. Like we see Griffin and Halia. And how is it kind of, now that the cat's out of the bag about Dodge and all of that, how is it really leaning into their plot and their machinations and really kind of embracing that dark side?
We really love this idea that Kinsey was dating the antagonist, that she's our heroine and that she's unknowingly involved with the worst person imaginable in the world of the show, and how that was going to play out, and when they were going to discover it, and how she was going to discover it, and what the consequences were going to be of Dodge having that sort of inside angle. We also just, on a practical level, love the idea of Griffin Gluck, who has played a certain kind of character, getting to be an antagonist and really, show us all his acting chops as the bad guy. And then Halia Jones was someone who just kind of came alive in season 1, and we really responded to what she had done with Eden, and we decided to write a bunch more for her, and she really rose to the challenge. And I think that character is, we had so much fun with that character in season 2, and I think the audience is just going to really like it. It's really great. The two of them are really fun and yet pretty scary bad guy duo, and how it all plays out is something that we just can't wait for the audience to see.
Sure. I mean, in terms of just the production side, you know, we had seen stuff like the mind key and going into the brain in season 1 and everything, and how dreamlike that could be. What I love is the first time we see like Amelia, it's like a watercolor come to life, right? She's just like there on that pond. How is it kind of like leaning in or doubling down on what the magic keys can do, just from a production standpoint and a visual standpoint?
I mean, it's been fun to be able to expand on, you know, different parts of people's heads, like you're saying with Kinsey's head, which we have seen before, but now, you know, seeing her have so much more, you know, calm and confidence with the key, and seeing that, you know, you can manipulate your head to look like whatever you want it to look like, play whatever music you want to play at any given time. It's kind of amazing to be able to reintroduce, not just on a visual stunning level, but also on a character level, that this is a very different Kinsey than we saw in season 1, you know, who was sort of afraid and clenched. And now when we see her again, like, she's created this unbelievable, beautiful, calm environment, which of course is going to change very, very quickly as she goes through the season and bad things start happening. But to be able to, you know, introduce her in that world, I think was really nice for us.
Right. The other factor is you've got Darby, who's a much more, you know, if Locke and Key as a show is a warmer, more approachable version of the story, Nina Locke in this story is a lot more fully rounded and fully developed, and she really, like, Darby really goes for it in season 2. Like, how is it kind of like expanding on what she can do and really charting her arc and pushing it into some, I mean, she meets somebody, like pushing it into like new, like interesting directions for the character.
I know, it's so nice to see her have a new love interest. We were so thrilled to be able to introduce Brennan Hines playing Josh, and to kind of give her that connection, especially at a time when she's having this disconnect with her kids because of the fact that she can't understand what they're going through. So it's nice for us to see her in that different place where she's not, you know, so weighed down by her grief and, you know, the possibilities that come with this new relationship, even though we are teasing that, you know, that this new guy may or may not be a good guy. So, you know, answer that, but yes.
I think I got time for just one more, and I'll make it a quick one. If the first season was the theme of how a family reacts to grief and kind of, you know, family secrets, what would you say thematically audiences should keep in mind looking into season 2?
I think the second season is about these kids realizing that they now have the responsibility for these keys, and them learning what are the costs and consequences of that responsibility.